D&Dark is an absurd, over-the-top comedy horror adventure that is intended for older audiences. Content warnings can be found in the episode descriptions. Hello and welcome to D&Dark, a comedy horror adventure Realplay podcast, loosely based on Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, and starring some of history's most infamous monsters. I'm Danger Dan Jerz, and I'm your host, / Crypt Keeper.
Hi everyone, I'm Ben Magnet. I play Mary Frankenstein, our barbarian paladin, and you ever have those days where the world just feels like it's against you and nothing really goes right? That was my dice, because dear God, dear Odin, dear whomever, they just screwed me over so much.
You'd be a banger Call of Cthulhu player.
Oh yeah.
But man, oh man, that was just to say the fight was rough is an understatement. Especially when he had to go into a little nightmare thing to see the first friend he ever made, be able to see him and just point at him and say burn for a good few minutes. That was great.
I mean, narratively speaking, that was pretty awesome. But yeah,
Thank
for
you.
Mary, that was shitty.
That was some really damn good stuff from you.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I'm Aaron, and I play the Phantom of the Opera, our bard. And we went wild during this fight. I used good spells. Those exist and are a real thing that sometimes people use.
Oh.
We got a little weird at the end with the wolf man wolf versus the witch wolf and ghost witch. But we sorted all that right out, and Larry got to do some chewing with his nice human teeth.
Nom, nom, nom,
And I juiced on a couple of teammates, so that was unfortunate.
Oh. Please don't ever use that as a verb ever again.
No promises.
Hello, I'm Grayson, play Jack Griffin, the Invisible Man, the party's rogue. I discovered the joys of a hand crossbow. I was able to sit back like anywhere between 30 to like all the way to like 60 feet away from the entirety of the combat, and I was just busy sniping whichever witch I needed to. Other than that, I'm really curious on what's going to be coming up with the whole pendant situation.
Hello, my name is Daniel Cruz, and I play Imhotep the Mummy, our cleric. And last session, I had some fun things that I got to do. Wanted to do a cool talk with the wolf, but didn't get to do that.
Sorry.
That's fine. Not upset about that. Not at all. Jordan. No, fine. It's cool.
You got to awkwardly hug him.
I know. I was gonna say I still got to hug the wolf in the Larry costume, and
That was such a weird turn of events.
So
it was such a weird. I was like, oh boy, am I really gonna solve my problem with the power of friendship? I think I am.
I wouldn't want it any other way.
That's like the best way we solve a lot of our
I
problems.
love it. Hi, I'm Jordan. I play Larry Talbot, a lycanthropic warlock. And last time, I was a man who turned into a wolf, and then I was a wolf that turned into a man. And probably we got as close to the Wolfman movie as we're ever going to get at this phase of Larry's lycanthropy. And just this, I think I said full-ass man goes running around in the forest and just did a lot of chomping on the witch, and it worked. It worked. I'll take it. That was pretty cool. But after that was all said and done, and Larry was quelled with the power of friendship, Larry has 2 things he needs to resolve. Both of them necklaces. How funny. Because this coming up morning will be the day of the Lotus, and he will get to go back and change one horrible thing in his past, and he knows exactly what he's going to do. Before he goes off and then maybe can never return, he wants to resolve and catch everybody up on something else as well.
All right, and with that, let's resolve those fears.
Yeah, I'm scared.
Jordan, card of the day.
God, oh my, I don't even have it out. Un momento.
Don't even pretend it's not the wolf.
You're right. Okay, so fun fact, guys. Literally the next 2 cards I had to pull are some other card and the moon.
Of course. Of freaking course.
we really tripled up on wolf time, so it's not really helpful now.
What I will say is, if this is the bottom of your deck and you're reshuffling,
This is the bottom of my deck.
I will give you, since the timing is really inconvenient, I'll give you a tiny bit of control over where that card gets shuffled into. So once you reset your cards, go ahead and leave out the moon, and you'll have the option of subbing it in when it feels appropriate once per stack.
Ooh. Okay. I'll take it.
All right. So, picking up right where we left off,
I had an idea.
go for it.
When we're in the cottage, he puts Larry down, lays him down so he's somewhat comfortable, and he puts the scythe next to him, puts Larry's hand on the scythe, and is like, I don't know if this will help him, but if it does, cool. If it doesn't, well, we got time to attune later. Because I know Carrie Knight's scythe can, rip souls out. I want to know if that will work on vampires.
Roll either Arcana or Insight.
Okay, you know what? I'm going to have to roll insight because my Arcana is a 0.
I'd like to look for any treasure or loot that she may or may not have. I don't know. Anything
I should have looked
interesting.
for that too. Oh, well. That is a nat 20!
We learning.
With that nat 20, I'll just give you the full description of the Reaping Scythe. But for your purposes, yes, the Reaping Scythe can tear the soul of Vordenberg out of Dracula.
Yes.
Assuming that it still exists.
Yeah.
Okay.
I hope.
Here is the full description of the Reaping Scythe. Formerly wielded by the death hag Mother Carrionite, the Reaping Scythe is a legendary weapon with the power to cleave souls from the body or apparatus that houses them. It emanates a decaying fog that chills its user to the touch. You gain a +2 to attack and damage rolls made with this magic weapon. You may use your spellcasting modifier instead of strength or dexterity for attack and damage rolls. In addition, the weapon has the following properties. When you reduce a creature to 0 hit points while attuned to the Reaping Scythe, it gains 1 charge. As an action, you can expend this charge to cast a spell of 5th level or lower from your known spell list without expending a spell slot. Additionally, when you are hit by a melee or spell attack, you can use your reaction to sacrifice some of your life essence to momentarily shift into the ethereal plane. Until your next turn, temporarily raise your AC by any amount which causes the attack to miss. You must lower your hit point maximum by an equivalent amount. Your hit point maximum can be restored with the use of Greater Restoration or upon finishing a long rest.
Very cool.
And then, Grayson, I know you said you wanted to investigate for loot, so go ahead and roll investigation.
You found a hat of rubbing.
Hell yeah.
Yay!
I mean, I did get a nat 20, but I don't know if the placebo hat's still there.
My favorite item that one of my players has is a Cape of Billowing.
Oh, yeah.
Just throwing that out there.
Very cool.
I wasn't going to have a Cape of Billowing, but...
What?
Cloak of Billowing, wondrous item, common. While wearing this cloak, you can use a bonus action to make it billow and flutter dramatically.
Yep, that's all it does.
Very cool.
So, sure, I'll say you find a Cloak of Billowing.
That feels right.
Hell yes.
You also, with a nat 20, you find a skeletal charm that, when equipped, gives you advantage on death saves.
Oh, damn.
Ooh.
Oh.
Okay. I'm going to hold up the cloak and the skeletal charm and show everyone.
All yours, buddy. You're the one who sifted through witch ashes for it.
I mean, unless anyone has any concerns or any preferences, then sure. But I don't know if the cloak is necessarily for me. Phantom, do you want to try it out?
It came from the actual corpse trash. No, thank you.
Okay. Maybe we give Larry a cloak.
Oh, come on, Grayson. You know you want a rad cloak.
Don't get me wrong, I do, but I also really like the aesthetic of my coat.
Come on.
It's just like a lot of
Sew it together.
A lot of-
Make yourself a coat of billowing. You could do it. You like making stuff. Do it. Little treat.
I just don't want to be hoarding all the magical stuff, but
Oops, too late. A little treat for you.
all right,
You were looking for it. It's yours.
cool.
What I will say, too, if you want to incorporate the Cloak of Billowing into your coat, you can make it a Coat of Billowing.
Yeah, I'll take that.
And I'll say this as part of your Nat 20 investigation check. The materials and means of crafting are here within this hut that you could combine those items together. She has a magical furnace and cauldron that seems to give off an energy of combining things together.
Very nice, a crafting system.
So you found a cauldron of crafting that you can use to incorporate your cloak of billowing into your coat of invisible man.
Anyway, while your coat is cooking, do we know what our next step is? Because I know that I'm the evil one, so obviously I don't give a shit about all those people in Windsor. But they'll still be there. I assume there's something a bit more important.
Oh,
I think there was.
Necronomicon. Bonzo.
Oh, yeah.
Where's the Okay, do I need to roll to try and find the damn Necronomicon?
It was being held in the ground.
Roll perception.
7 plus 5, so it's a 12.
With a 12, in the ground outside of the cottage, there is a small disturbance as it is moving away.
Nope.
Yeah, I'm going to rush outside and pounce on it.
I go to.
All right, guys, you get it. I'm gonna.
Make a sleight of hand check. Contested against a man who is slightly too long.
Oh, no.
Oh, so my sleight of hand is a 0, but I rolled at 18.
I rolled a natural 19 for a 26.
Hell yeah!
And the man who is too long rolled a 4.
Yeah.
He does not roll well, I've noticed.
As you hold it in place, he emerges from the ground in a series of jittery, spasming movements, looks at the two of you with a smile, and says, "I'll be seeing you around. Enjoy the spoils of your victory." And with a wink as he turns into generic Monster Manual Bard, he pulls out a lute, strums, and as the music reverberates, the swamp water ripples around beneath him. He gets blurry and fades away.
Oh, shit.
Sick.
Don't like that guy.
God, he's cool, though.
He's cool, but don't like him.
Mary just stares as he fades away and looks over to Jack is like, he's going to be a major problem and later on, but something tells me that when we have to fight, I'm going to enjoy ripping him limb from too long limb.
I think there's definitely a side of me that's going to enjoy watching you do that.
And congratulations, you have reclaimed the Necronomicon.
Yay!
If you want someone to hold on to that.
You are not holding this damn thing at all.
I was going to ask Imhotep if he wants to grab it with his wrappings.
Yeah, he's gonna hobble on over, grab the book, be like, "Thank you," puts it in the bag. I'm gonna go and take a nap now.
Yeah.
And he falls face first into the mud. 7 whole wounds. 7 wounds left.
I'm gonna nap 1 hit point harder than he does, because I only had 6.
Mary just looks at Imhotep and he's like, I know you technically don't need to breathe, but I just pick him up and bring him back into the cottage so he's facing upwards. I go, I'm tired too.
Oh, yeah, you all got hit. All right.
Little stinker.
Yeah, not only that, I saw a freaking nightmare. You know the story I told you about the girl who I used as my namesake, the first one to show me kindness?
Yeah.
Yeah, the bitch gave her eyesight back and she told the entire village to burn me. It was messed up.
As the sun begins to rise, Larry, you feel the Lotus Pendant finally blooms, and it is simply waiting for you to will it into activation to be used.
Okay. Well, there's some loose ends I need to tie up here first. And as the next day rolls around and the sun's shining and it's a beautiful new morning, Larry just kind of waits for everybody to wake up and just kind of tells the room, you know, today's kind of a big day, and I don't know what's going to happen to me after I use the Lotus, but there's something I need to come clean about, and we need to decide what we want to do about.
Is it this cool scythe that we gave you?
It's ooh, and he sees it's literally right next to him. He's like, "Oh, that's really nice." Partly.
And what I will say too, with the Card Captor's Curse, you get an ability as worked out between you and the DM based on the creature that is captured in it. What I will say is that your Card Captor's Curse will allow you to automatically attune to the Reaping Scythe.
Nice.
Sick.
Nice.
We'll see. But there's something I've been wanting to talk to you guys about for a while, but I needed to wait till we had the very important piece, and he raises up the scythe, and we're all back together and in a place where we could talk and really think things out. I have with me a soul trapped in a locket, and I was keeping it under wraps for a little while because it is a soul that has caused us a lot of harm. And I was afraid, similarly to Vordenberg, who was also a soul who is an aspect of a thing that caused us a lot of harm. Even though they were helpful to us, we acted with a lot of hostility towards, and in the end, he ended up saving us. But this is a soul that I think can help us. And Larry looks at Mary and I genuinely think this is a soul that could be redeemed. And if you guys are upset with me or hate me for keeping us under wraps for so long, I completely understand. But whether or not we all choose to help this soul help us, or if we use the scythe to have it pass on to the next world or wherever it needs to go, then so be it.
Mary puts his hand on Larry's shoulder. First of all, Larry, all of us can never hate you.
Well, you might be quite peeved, so...
Don't speak too soon.
Yeah, you might have a stern word for me, but I promise it was all... I have my justifications for it, but I think now is the perfect time for us to make a decision, and I want us to make a decision as a group. I have, and he's going to take the locket out from around his neck and place it on a table in front of everyone. The human soul of Renfield is in this locket.
Renfield was Raynor.
Renfield was the human part of Raynor.
Mary's eyes go wide. You had him, Dracula's familiar, in your pocket the entire time.
I've had him since before Warwick Castle. Raynor was out running around while I had the soul.
And you feel the temperature of the room slowly begin to drop.
So they, in some part, like Vordenberg and his Revenant, they are the same, but they are also separate. I want us to keep that in mind.
And we talk to him.
Since the ruse is dropped.
Wow, that's really loud out of a pendant. Holy shit, wow.
He's got great volume control, what can I say?
I see no reason to keep under wraps anymore. Before you make too hasty a decision, know that I have been helping you this entire time. I am the reason that no vampire spawn has been able to touch you since Warwick Castle. I have been keeping them at bay and keeping you alive. Whether you take my advice or not, I am the only one who has the knowledge that you need to get through to the Master.
Yes, because Renfield, much like Basil to Dorian, was under duress by a stronger force that they had some obsession with. And you know, in the end, though I don't like how he did it, Basil helped us. In a huge way.
Mary slams his fist on the table as if to order quiet.
We weren't talking.
Okay, let me rephrase. Mary slams his fist on the table to get Renfield's attention. And he stares at the locket intensely. Renfield, Raynor, whatever the hell your name is, trust me when I say this, that I have a lot of feelings, negative, harmful feelings towards you and what you have done. But I have a question, and the way you answer this question will definitely influence my decision going forward. I acknowledge that you have helped us, but I also need to know, were you, while trapped in this locket, aware and had any influence over the spawn known as Raynor while we were fighting him.
Raynor is an extension of myself in many ways. Your friend gave it a pretty apt comparison with the soul of the Revenant of the Baron Vordenberg. And while I do understand your negative feelings towards me, and I do not blame you for them, I suggest that the smart thing to do is to put them aside and work together to take down a common enemy.
Mary summons the javelin and puts the tip right towards the locket.
Imhotep is going to reach out, kind of put his hand on Mary's.
It's okay. I know what I'm doing. When I got this javelin, Renfield, I took an oath that creatures and people like ourselves can move away from their evil ways. They can become better, even if the world around them scorns and hisses and curses their names. And while I do not like it, and I definitely do not like you, if you are like Vordenberg, and you have helped us, then you may be on that path of redemption. Every part of my body is screaming to destroy you here and now, but I'm not going to do that. But I want you to know that if you cross us in any way, shape, or form, this javelin will go through this locket. And I put the javelin away. He's all yours. And I walk back towards the room, and I just stand there with my arms crossed.
I appreciate the sentiment. Though I, as I'm sure you feel as well, feel as though redemption is out of the cards for me. Atonement, perhaps. But there are some things you cannot come back from, and where I take exception to your oath is that some damage runs too deep. I was free of Dracula when he was slain the first time, but it was not freedom. Things still lingered. I tried in every capacity to go back to the life that I lived before, but it was inescapable. Even from beyond the grave, I could not free myself from his thrall. And all I want to do, I want to make sure that not only is he put away for good, but I need to ensure that that power is taken away from him, that he is taken down from the pedestal that he elevates himself onto. I need to see him not only defeated, but destroyed. Because the Professor Abraham Van Helsing killed Count Dracula, but he did not dispatch the Master. And that is why I am helping you fucking nitwits. You are my best opportunity at getting back to him and making sure that he falls. I am not asking for you to trust me. I am simply asking for you to be rational and understand what it will take. There are still 3 coffins left, and as long as those coffins still exist, if Dracula is killed, atomized, reduced to whatever, he will respawn directly from the nearest of those coffins. So no death will stick until they are dealt with. I do not know where the last of his coffins lies, but I can tell you that there is one stationed in Big Ben. There is another stationed in Warwick Castle, which by now is probably more akin to Castle Dracula. London will not be easy. You will have the entire mob of sycophants to deal with, but if you keep me by your side, you will not have to deal with the spawn. So weigh your actions carefully, and I will do what I can to bring him down and besmirch him and take away the power that he has over me, over everyone. I can tell you what to look out for. In fact, I will give you one for free, as a sign of intent. By now, I'm sure you've seen the degradation of the city of London. That is because he is transforming the entire cityscape into his lair, and by now will have succeeded. So everywhere you step within the city of London is within his boundaries, within his lair, and within his grasp and power. So mechanically speaking, lair actions
Oh, no.
extend through the entirety of London.
Oh, shit.
Oh,
Wee.
joy.
Fancy.
Okay. Oh, we knew this was going to be a hard one.
We need to go to Big Ben, huh?
So with that, I will leave you to deliberate and do what you need to do.
I had a question, and I need an answer. How did you come to find yourself in the sanatorium?
In my attempts at rebuilding my life from the rebel that the Master left behind, my inability to get him out of my head led me to check myself in. Dr. Seward did everything he could, but it was not enough.
And you checked yourself in of your own volition?
It was my idea and my decision to make. I could argue it was under duress because I would not have made that decision were I not still so troubled by Dracula's looming influence over me. But it was me and me alone who took the initiative to try and get help, to try and get better. But like I've said, some damage runs too deep.
Dan, can I pull out the notes that I still have involving Raynor that I have from the sanitarium still?
Because I know there was some notes that I had, and then there was some notes that the other team had found as well.
The notes that I have, going back to my stuff, you pull out the diagnosis.
Mm-hmm.
The name Raynor Leroux is replaced with Richard Milo Renfield on your notes.
Okay.
Right. Because that was a perception filter.
Mm-hmm.
Age 59, prognosis unknown, sanguine temperament, great physical strength, morbidly excitable, periods of gloom broken by fits of mania, prone to violent outbursts, solitary confinement recommended for safety of the other patients.
And the recommendation came from Dr. Seward?
Yes, this was from a list of doctors' notes. And Grayson, your notes say, progress has deteriorated and the violent mood swings are getting worse. The patient known as Richard Milo Renfield has been forcibly detained in solitary confinement for days on end. When left to his own devices, has been heard calling out a name that the other patients have been unable to identify, and when pressed, simply refers to as his master.
I think Larry was smart to keep this under wraps. None of us have a penchant for the level-headedness that he showed.
I mean, speak for yourself. I'm of the mind that if Larry feels that this soul is worth trusting, then I am willing to place my trust in them as well. I mean, you know my thing with souls. If this Renfield wishes to be free of Dracula and to find his way to some form of an afterlife, then I want to believe that.
I'll admit I feel a bit of responsibility to Renfield, but I'll definitely say that I trust Larry's judgment.
Mary's still gonna look over at Larry and is like, I do trust your judgment. And you were probably wise to keep him from us, especially from me. I will not trust him. But if he can help us take down Dracula, that is what we need to do. That is our end game. That is everything we need to work for. I don't think I'll ever trust Renfield. Hell, even if I'm able to save Bordenberg, I don't think I'll be able to trust him, and I took his damn oath. But what I do trust is you. All of you. Even you, as I look over to Phantom.
I'm great.
Debatable. But I trust all of you with what monsters and nightmares I have. So if you think that this is the right play, I will go along with it. But I want everyone here to understand that the very moment he leads us astray or puts us in a position that benefits him more than it does the mission, he goes.
I'm with Mary.
Erik?
I thought I knew a liar when I saw one, but who knows? Maybe my judge of character isn't quite so good. A knife in the back wouldn't feel so bad from an enemy. Let's bring him along.
All right.
One little thing before we wrap this up. I go back into my pocket and I take out Abraham Van Helsing's journal and I give it to Jack. I had this for a very long time, and to be perfectly honest, I don't know why I've never rummaged through it. You're the science man. I may be a science experiment, but my knowledge of the sciences isn't the greatest in the world, so maybe you can look through it and see what he did wrong. Because as Renfield said, Abraham killed Dracula, but he didn't end him, and that bothers me a lot.
Yeah, I can pour through this and maybe pick up some of the notes that he may or may not have left about Dracula. Maybe there's an edge that we can pick up.
I'm also going to give you these. I give him the doctor's notes too. They might not help, but once again, you might get more out of these than I can. And I give him the doctor's notes too.
Oh, all right. Yeah, I can see. Actually, there has been something that I've been wrestling with in my head. Maybe these notes will come in handy, but that can be for another time.
Maybe. But I just feel like I just gave you a whole lot of work, and I want to say I'm sorry for this, Jack. I just know you're better at this than I am.
Stacks of paperwork. Here you go.
I know.
Put these somewhere, friend.
I mean, I can help with the heavy lifting if that helps. I don't know. If you need my help, just ask and I'll help you.
Of course. I mean, looking at things from a different point of view instead of just the clinical, sometimes it offers a new perspective on things, and it could lead to a creative solution. So I can look through some of these notes, and I can look through Abraham's notes and journals, and maybe there's more behind it all.
Mm-hmm. Well, before you go and do that, who's going to watch over Renfield?
Honestly, I assumed it was going to be you because you've had him this whole time.
Yeah, why break up the new best friends?
He's not one of the new best friends, chill.
Because, well, today is the day of the Lotus. And I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know how it works, and I don't know what will change.
If you don't want to hold on to it, maybe Imhotep, because it's a soul.
I can hold it if you need me to.
All right.
Yeah, definitely not me. I'll just be making snide remarks to him all day. He probably wouldn't like that.
I mean, I can't promise that I won't make one or two.
You can hold your emotions better than I can. I mean, hell, remember earlier when you calmed my emotions?
Yeah, that was a spell.
Well, thank you. Thank you, everyone. I owe all of you everything. I hope when it's over, I'm right back here with you and nothing really has changed all that much except for fixing what I need to fix, but I don't know. Just thank you.
You know that we are here for you, and we will do what we can.
Which is sit on our hands, mostly.
Pretty much. But I mean, I'm trying to find the words. But no, I think yeah.
I appreciate it. Like I said, I owe you all more than I will ever be able to deliver in my lifetime.
I take checks.
If it helps, you don't owe me a damn thing.
And Larry, I've already extended my offer. I mean, the States is kind of far away, but the offer extends to all of you.
Never again.
Okay.
What are the States?
Larry, you may want to get to that Lotus. We're about to descend into madness over here.
I think we're getting a little off topic. Yeah, I was going
understood.
to say.
I'll go take a walk, and I hope to see you all soon.
So as the Lotus Pendant blooms, it glows and begins to hum with a resonant tone that echoes through your mind. And as you activate it and accept its pull, the crystalline petals of the flower, one by one, begin to fall off the bulb and encircle around you. And each of the fragments of these crystal petals obscure your vision as they cyclone around you faster and faster. And they begin very slowly to break apart, shattering into fragments that replace your view of the landscape around you. And slowly being overtaken by these shards of glass, you find yourself floating in a fractal space where everywhere around you see the beveled corners of glass, as though you were in the center of a kaleidoscope. Everything around you is a sharp and jagged edge that reflects you differently. In each of these shards, as you look around, you see a memory. Moments of your life frozen in time, each one representing every decision that you've ever made. And as you float in the center, and as you give your attention to each of these different snapshots, the more you seem to focus on any one, the more you feel yourself pulled towards it. And as you get closer, that still image begins to animate and very slowly play out the scene of your life that it represents, before freezing again as you look elsewhere.
I can't handle it anymore.
And you are left with the choice of which of these moments to go back to and to replace.
I know what I have to do. I have to go back to the worst day of my life. I have to go back to the day that I killed Gwen.
And as you lock on to that memory, all of the shards around you change in the images that they reflect to all reflect that one moment and instant. And they begin to collapse and condense down, all freezing on an image of Larry in motion, his foot caught on uneven pavement, hands outstretched as if to catch himself mid-fall. And these fragments form a glass statue of you in that moment, in that position, and you feel a compulsion beckoning you towards it to touch the statue.
I do it.
And the moment you make contact, the statue breaks apart in jittery movement, the shattered fragments of glass spreading out to surround you, leaving in their wake a vision of your past self, exactly in that same position and in that moment. And it begins very slowly to pick up the momentum as he falls forward. And the crystals around you begin to close in, and you feel a force pushing you forward. And as you are pushed, and you fall to the ground, you overlap with this image of your past self. And in an instant, as you both hit the ground, the image that you overlapped with disappears. You feel the dirt beneath you, and you feel time resuming around you, almost exactly as you remembered it on this day. The only difference is that surrounding where you have fallen are loose flower petals.
Oh.
As you pull yourself back up to your feet, tell me where you are and describe the scene you are returning to.
As Larry dusts off his knees with a very familiar pain in them, they don't feel as crunkled as they are in in the up-to-date where we are. These are definitely fresher knees. But as soon as he looks around and sees that he's in Llanwelly, Wales, he is overwhelmed because he's come back here so many times in his memories. And when you come back to these places in your memories, it's got that fog, it's got that kind of like Gaussian blur to them. But then it's even different than going back to a place of your childhood as an adult because like the buildings have worn down, people have moved on. But to be back in that exact place, in that exact time, and to smell the smells of the town and to feel the air on his skin, to feel the cobblestones and pathways that he knows so well under his feet, he's just in shock. And people are going about their normal everyday errands and chores. He sees people, he sees faces that he recognized back as he recognized them. And I mean, even though the incident of this day hadn't been that long ago, it's been a couple of years ago, it feels like forever since he's been back home. And he knows the reason why he came here is not for a pleasant reunion. It's not for any sort of joyous thing. He knows what he has to do here today. He needs to, once again, leave this place forever and never look back. Because he did that on this day, but now he's making the choice to. And a part of him thought that he could just take off from this point. He could just turn around, find Maleva, head straight to England. But he feels like in order to really do this moment right, because how often do you get to go back into your past and redo a moment right? He's going to do what he should have all those years ago. And he's going to head to the antique store. Because he is going to find Gwen and tell her everything. And finally be fully honest with her. And then tell her that he has to leave. So he's going to start walking down the path, and he's going to try not to be like a sore thumb sticking out in this town with everybody looking around. And then he's going to go right up to the antique store, to Charles Conliffe's antique shop. And he's going to laugh that it's Charles Conliffe because Harold hates that we call him Harold. He's going to chuckle to himself, and then he's going to stare at the door for a very, very long time. And then he's going to take a deep breath. He's going to reach for the handle, and he's going to open it. And he's going to hear that familiar ring of the front door chime. And that's going to send shivers down his spine. And he's going to step inside. And once again, that familiar, musty smell, the nice dim lights of the antique shop, the light reflecting and refracting in from like various little pieces of stained glass. And he's going to look around at all these knickknacks and things that haven't sold over the years that he's come to know very, very well. And he's going to see Harold off at the desk doing his grumpy work. I don't know if even Harold's going to acknowledge that he's in there, but he's going to look around and he's going to scan the shelves. And that's when he sees it. He sees the crescent moon earrings through the shelves start traveling around the corner. And then there he sees Gwen. And he's shocked. It's like seeing a ghost, but she's there. And Larry looks terrified. Imagine this color is drained out of his face. His mouth's a little slack because he's seeing someone, not only someone that he really cares about with all his being, but someone that had died. And not only someone that had died, but someone that he caused the death of is now alive and right in front of him.
Hey, Lair. Are you okay? You're in early today.
Yeah, I thought I should, make my way down here. Can I talk with you, Gwen?
And you see Gwen, like really see her. Like you said, there's no Gaussian blur memory to it. She has these like flowing golden curls. She's wearing her work apron, like a little half leather apron that's bulging with different gloves and supplies. And her eyes had lit up when you entered, and now kind of her brow narrows in concern because she can tell that something is wrong. And you catch a glimpse of that little constellation of freckles that's always on her cheeks when she's been in the sun. And she's gonna give you a worried smile and tousle your hair and say, yeah, Lair, of course. Do you need to sit down? You look like you've seen a ghost. Are you sure you're okay?
And when you tousle his hair, he like melts a little bit. It's really good to see you, is all. And yeah, I think we should go sit down somewhere. I've got some things I want to tell you about.
Oh, and she kind of like looks over across the room at Harold, who is at, I imagine, the front desk, and she calls out, "Hey, Dad, I think we're out of that lavender Earl Grey tea, and I some quill ink. Do you mind running across town and restocking that? Mrs. Schneider, when she always comes in, always asks for tea, and it is Tuesday, so she's probably due at noon. Do you mind?"
And Harold is going to grumble and roll his eyes as he stands up. Fine, but while I'm out, just do me a favor and test out the new phonograph. I've got a wax cylinder laid out for you. I'll be back.
No problem. Be safe, and if you want to take an extra lunch, that'll be fine. And she's like following her dad to the door, and as soon as he leaves, she gives it 2 Mississippi seconds and then flips the open sign to closed.
That's so good.
Wonderful.
Okay, Lair, you haven't looked this distressed in a while. Did you have another rough night? Were you out late?
Yeah, I've... Oh, okay. I just need to come out and say it. When there are... And he's gonna sit and he's gonna think. He's like, well, I got this far. I made the decision to tell her everything. I didn't think about how I'm gonna tell her everything. Gwen, you remember those couple of years ago when I first came into the shop? I was fresh back from America, and I was just trying to get my footing around town, and I wandered in here, and I remember you showed me that cane that I've been carrying around me ever since, and you remember what you told me that first day?
I mean, yeah, of course. I made some joke about that old story, that old local folklore about, how does it go? That even a man who is pure in heart and says his prayers by night can become a wolf when the wolfsbane blooms and the autumn moon is bright.
I remember I laughed, and I thought it was so silly. Just the old-fashioned ways of this town just never changed. But did you ever believe in that old folk tale?
Believe? I mean, I believe that other people believe it. It's, those legends have been around for so many years. There's got to be some truth to it. We certainly have, wolves around in the woods. I don't know. I guess I just assumed there some years back must have been a particularly big one or some big attack. Why? Are you feeling particularly nostalgic today?
He's like, yeah. I suppose. I really feel like I'm living in the past right now. When I'm going to tell you something absolutely insane, and if you believe me, that's fantastic, and I really appreciate it. But if you don't believe me, and if you think I'm crazy and you don't ever want to see me again, that's fine too, because after I'm done telling you this, I have to leave Lanwelly, and I can't come back.
Leave? What do you mean, Lair? What? This is nonsense. Just what is going on? I promise if it's something about the shop or something,
No. The shop is wonderful. You're wonderful. Even Harold's wonderful. This is... But, Gwen, when a few days after being back here and getting that cane, I was attacked by a wolf. And, well, it happened. I was cursed. And I am a werewolf. I know, it's crazy. I hate saying it, but And even to add a bunch more crazy on top of that, not only am I a werewolf, but... And I thought it would be easier to say maybe Maleva gave me a premonition, maybe Maleva gave me some bad forewarning that, but no, I came back to this moment. I'm me from the future, a couple years in the future. And at the end of today is the night of a full moon. And originally when I walked into the shop, as you can see, I don't have my cane on me. My cane is a way for me to remember what happened to me, a way for me to tell when the full moon's going to happen. And because I forgot, you end up making a really good sale today and said we were going to all go out for dinner and celebrate, but I forgot that I couldn't go out tonight. And I tried to rush home as fast as I could, but you followed behind me and... Gwen, if I stay here, you die. So I have to go.
I think she is quiet for a long moment. And as you have been pouring your soul out to her, you see a lot of different emotions kind of flicker over her face. There is confusion at the beginning, maybe a twinge of a smile of this has to be some prank. And then as you go on, just getting very serious. And she stands there for a moment and she is quiet and she eventually nods and she says, okay, well, Lair, I don't think you're crazy. But I do think that any conversation this big requires some snacks. So, okay, you come sit down over here, and she'll like usher you over like behind the front desk and like pull out the stool that's usually reserved for Harold and pull up I think she just drags a big antique like armchair over and makes you sit in that probably. And like we'll go and like dig around some shelves and pull out like an old hand woven Afghan and like throw that over you. And she takes out some keys from her work apron, and behind the front desk, which is more like an antique writing desk that some baron would have used, there's one drawer on the right that's distressingly deep, and there's a little note taped on it that says "for emergencies only." And she unlocks it and pulls out an entire like tea set, like full spread, like little plates, tiny teacups, like the whole 9 yards. And the tea kettle can it just be filled with water and already set? Can we just say that that's great? Excellent. But so she'll kind of get you settled and set up the tea and pour it. And what's Larry's favorite tea? Does he have one?
I didn't decide. Jordan loves lavender.
Oh, no, I'm
Jordan
sorry.
thinks lavender's fantastic. So when you said that, I was like, ooh, yeah.
Amazing. So then Gwen definitely sent her dad on a fool's errand because we got lavender tea for days.
Yeah!
So she pours you some. And then she also reaches into her apron and pulls out Larry's favorite snack, which is, of course, individually wrapped pocket cookies.
Pocket cookies!
And so she'll, settle in. She's not really saying a lot, but she is in like caregiver mode, which is you know by now that this is her deepest expression of affection and comfort. Okay. Could we try that again, but maybe with like just a little bit more context? So you were attacked by a wolf, and you're okay though, because that happened before. Sorry, you're from the future? Okay, so
I know. You're honestly, Gwen, you're taking this miraculously well for all the nonsense I just spattered at you. Yes, way back when I first arrived, I was taking a shortcut because I was like, yeah, I remember these woods as a kid. I'll take a shortcut. And then I got attacked by a wolf. But I had the cane you gave me, and I knocked that wolf out. Turned out that wolf was a man and was also Maleva's son. So there's a lot of, I don't know if more context is helping, but
no, it is. So Maleva, that sweet old woman you run errands for,
right? Yeah. She's the only other one that knows. And I mean, I do run errands for her because she helps me out a lot. She helps on nights of the full moon, making sure I'm locked away somewhere and I can't hurt anybody.
Lara, that's so much to bear by yourself. I mean, I understand why you didn't tell me. This is, oh boy. But so you, sorry, then you killed me?
I'm so sorry, Gwen. I should have told you this ahead of time. I should have told you everything immediately, because, I mean, I should have known you'd taken this well, but even if you couldn't, I was incredibly selfish, and I wanted to be here and live life here, but I'm a monster, Gwen. I can't be here. I can't pretend to live a normal life. I can't endanger you.
Okay, well, a couple of things. First of all, you're allowed to want to live life. You deserve to want to live life. And Lawrence Talbot, if you call yourself selfish one more time in my presence, I might have a breakdown at that point. You are one of the kindest souls I've ever met. And if you killed me, the point is, you didn't now. Like, I'm here. And she will like reach out, take your free hand in both of hers, and her hands are so soft and so warm, and you can smell her, you can feel her presence, and it's so warm and so safe, and she smells like old books and sun-kissed honeysuckle. Blair, you're not a monster. I'll admit, I'm still doing a lot of compartmentalization on my end and trying to catch up a little bit. But side note, how did you travel back in time? This is a lot.
And Larry's gonna reach for like his chest where the Lotus Pendant was, and does he feel anything there?
He feels the base of the necklace minus its petals.
He says, well, okay. Well, here's another thing where context might make it more confusing.
Try me.
After the events with Maleva, I found a lovely band of just wonderful people. Oh, Gwen, you would love them so much. There's this guy, he's an invisible man, but he's more recently like coming into view, and he kind of looks like my dad, which is a little conflicting, but he's really nice. And I empathize with him deeply on his struggles. And then there's this big, tall, amalgam person named Mary, and he's just the sweetest, smartest man, but he's only 2 years old. He's amazing. And there's this other friend of mine is this ancient mummy, and he started off very standoffish, but he's got such a warm heart inside, and he's got a wonderful wife who's just lovely. And we're also traveling with this maestro from Paris who can be a lot sometimes, but is a lot of fun to hang around with and keeps me on my toes. And anyways, they were wonderful, and they helped me try and find a way to cure the wolf. And we traveled, and we found 3 witches. One of the witches had this lotus, this necklace that on the day of the full moon, very convenient, allowed me to go back and change one moment of my life. And I really had to think about what I wanted to change. Of course, I thought about going back and making sure I was never bitten, but I thought about that for a while, and if I did that, then that would have meant would have recursed Maleva's son and put her back through that turmoil. And then, even if we stopped that, the wolf would keep hurting people. So I thought, with the knowledge I have, with what I've went through, I don't think I could ever go back to the way I was. But I thought, I've got this one opportunity that I can at least reverse the damage I've done. And so I thought, I could save you. I could bring you back, or not bring you back, but just make sure nothing bad ever happened to you, and then I could continue on the timeline as it should have been, and hopefully stop any extra collateral happening from this. It's like a genie lamp thing. I really thought about this for a while to try and make sure that nothing else went wrong, and like this is the only thing that made sense, and I don't know. But the fact of the matter is, I still have to accept that it did happen. And it's only because I know what happened did I have the bravery to, well, it's not bravery. It's because I was a coward before. Now I know I lose you either way. But at least this way, I know you're safe. So, long story short, is the necklace that did it.
I think she reaches back into her apron and will pull out a beautifully embroidered antique handkerchief and kind of hand it to you. And maybe, I think she maybe even kind of dabs one of your eyes for you and just kind of puts it in your lap. Lair, anyone who has endured half of what you just said, and probably a bunch more I don't even know about, is not a coward. I don't think you're nearly giving yourself as much credit as you deserve. And I do have some questions, I'm not going to lie, but I guess I don't understand why you still feel like you have to leave. I mean, cursed or not, Lair, you're still you. And now that I know about it, we can work on figuring out what to do. And I don't know, if you still want to go to English, I could come with you, or I just, this seems, it's an extreme situation, but it seems like you're kind of taking an extreme reaction to it. You could stay.
He's going to take your hands in his and just look at you with just this sorrow. When I can't stay. Because if I stay and I continue on the way things were, it's just another mistake away from ending up right back where we started, where I started. And I care about you way too much to even risk doing that to you again. So I can't stay. Everything that happened to me, I don't know. I think on some span of it had to happen. I had to learn from my mistakes. I had to take this on. And at the very least, I have to take it on so I know that nobody else has to. And I don't know. Maybe in the future. Maybe after I've met with my friends back in English and we've dealt with what we needed to do there. Maybe things could be different, but today has to be different. Today has to change.
I think Gwen pulls out another handkerchief and dabs her own eyes. I think it hits her in waves. Not only the significance of everything that Larry has been through, but what that now means moving forward. And I think she straightens up, kind of sniffles, squeezes your hand again, and she says, "Okay, I trust you, Lair, and if you have to go, well, I'm certainly not sending you off like this. Not when you're talking about monsters and you being a coward. Lair, before you leave, at least let me talk some sense into you. Is that fair?
Yeah. Please, anything you have to say.
Lair, getting to know you over this past year or so has been like magic. More magic than everything that you're talking about. And I need you to know that it breaks my heart to hear you talk this way, to think about yourself this way. I don't pretend to know what it's been like or how hard it's been for you to live with everything, but I need you to know that you don't deserve what happened to you. And you're so much better than the worst things you've ever done. I mean, the worst thing you've ever done, you've already changed. Look, and she'll kind of hold up her hands and kind of boop you on the nose. You're not your curse, Lair. You're not defined by past mistakes.
I've missed you, Gwen. And he's going to go in and give her a hug.
Oh, big hug. Like the tightest embrace. Like, those hugs when you hug someone when you have the foresight to know that it might be one of the last times you get to. It's tight and it's warm and it's your shoulder gets a little damp because she might be crying. And as she pulls away, she kind of glances wistfully back at the desk. Lair, do you remember that day in the shop a couple months ago? I was up on that ladder back there shelving some things, and you were carrying this huge box of salt and pepper shakers.
Oh, no, not the salt and pepper shakers.
You fell, remember?
Yeah, I remember.
And you dropped the box and half of them broke, but as we were sorting through them and putting them all back together again, we found these. And she'll open a different drawer of the desk and pull out one little salt and pepper shaker set. It's a chicken and a rooster. Oh. And the rooster has definitely been cracked and very delicately glued back together. And while we were sorting them, I remember that you got this look in your eyes, and we started talking about where they could have come from, who owned them, how they ended up here. And I remember you saying to me that, we can't know their whole story, but we could make sure that this next part of their story was good and taken care of. And you'll have to indulge the metaphor, Lair, but I know your story. I know enough to know that you're a good person. And you might have, weathered a few cracks and broken pieces, and I guess now that I'm saying it, the broken pieces in this analogy is a terrifying being that lives inside of you. Anyway, the point is that your story isn't done either. You came back to this point, and you get to decide what happens next. And that's the important part, Lair, because I just know that you're going to do incredible things, and you're going to help people and really matter to people. And I think that's what you need to focus on. Stop thinking about what you've done wrong and think about what you can do moving forward. And I hope you don't take this the wrong way, Lair, but there's really no one I would trust more to handle something like this than you.
And he's going to sit with that for a second and sit with all the love you've given him in this moment. And he's going to say, right, I do get to decide what my life is going forward. And we've got a few hours before I need to leave. Should we put on that phonograph and just have a normal day together while we can.
She gives you this radiant smile, and it almost feels like you've been hit by the sun, like your whole being is just warmed by this unconditional joy that fills her. I think that's a great idea. Oh, and one more thing. She digs around in her apron, which I'm realizing is basically her version of a non-magical bag of holding, and pulls out this little gold chain, and she unclips one of her crescent moon earrings and attaches it to the chain. I want you to do me a favor and hold on to this. It's not a magic pendant. It can't bring you back in time, I think. But these earrings have been in my family for a while, and they're a pair. And pairs don't like to be separated forever. So go out there and do what you need to do, find what you need to find. But when you're ready someday, bring it back to me so they can be reunited. Okay?
And he just nods through bleary eyes and a little bit of snot. He just kind of nods at you. Gwen, this is the most magical necklace I have received so far. And that's saying a lot. Because one of them had me travel in time, and the other one's got a nefarious spirit inside. Also another long story. I can catch you up on that whole debacle in a minute. And he goes in for another hug, and he's like, thank you, Gwen. I really needed this.
As she pulls away from the hug, she'll tousle your hair one more time and I think kiss you on the forehead. You're a good man, Larry Talbot. And don't let all those doubts bouncing around in your noggin tell you any different. And she'll loop her little earring necklace around your neck and pull you up by both hands and take you down to the phonograph.
Larry and Gwen go over and they test the phonograph, and it starts playing. And then I think they just kind of start slow dancing together, as this is kind of their song.
No moon at all, white at night. Even lightning bugs have dimmed their light. Stars have disappeared from sight, and there's no moon at all.
Gwen starts humming along to the phonograph and just wraps her arms around Larry's neck and just kind of savors this last moment with someone that she... You know those moments when you realize that you have stopped imagining what life is like without them in it?
Oh.
And then suddenly you're faced with that exact reality. And so she's just swaying with this man who's her best friend, her confidant, someone that she is only just starting to admit to herself that she loves, and will just kind of hum along to their song.
And Harold will return to the store. He's going to stop at the doorway, look in, see what's happening, and turn around and take an extra long lunch.
Oh, Harold! You're a real one, Harold.
And I think after a while, I think Gwen does ask for a little bit more context on Larry's grand adventures.
Let me just start at the beginning. After I left Wales, Maliva and I went to English, and she told me I needed to go to this little cathedral, St. Mary's Cathedral, and there I found...
And as soon as Larry decides that he is ready, the bulb on the lotus necklace will begin to glow. He will feel the wind pick up around him, and the scene will melt away as flower petals circle around him, and he returns back to where he left with a new necklace around his neck, and with the petals of the lotus flower necklace reattached but wilted.
And then I think this is probably the best day of Larry's life.
No moon
are the outcasts, the misfits you might say. We deal with the nightmares that you run away from every single day. We know the world is a gruesome little place, but us outsiders, we've developed quite a taste for the grisly and morbid, the ghastly and the horrid. We know it's awful dreadful, but we like it. Just another haunted night, shrouded with unearthly fright. So when you're oh so terrified, you know who to call. The world is falling apart, we'll never take it to heart. Some monsters and creatures and spirits and specters and all, let's all have a ball.
You're a good man, Larry Talbot. Just don't let your head... Oh, fuck, shit. I fucked it up. Damn it. I was so good.
Don't
Hang
let
on.
your head off like shit.
I'm sorry.
Put that on a plaque.